Thank you. Rotary International President's Representative Julia Phelps is joining us today to share a message about her favorite things and favorite components of Rotary. Julia served as a trustee for the Rotary Foundation from 2017 to 2020, and she served as the director of Rotary International from 2014 to 2016. Julia originally joined the Rotary Club of Amesbury, Massachusetts in 1997 and served as president of the club from 2001 to 2002, and she served as the foundation club's chair and membership chair. Julia has served as a president's representative and Rotary Foundation alumni chair for Zone 32. Julia prepared governors-elect on the foundation's new grant model and the International Assembly in 2012 and 2013. She served as international director from 2014 to 2016, and in 2016 and 17 was a member of the Operations Review Committee. Julia served as a member of Rotary International's membership committee from 2017 to 2019. Julia is retired from the Massachusetts Department of Education, where she served as the Associate Commissioner for Curriculum and Instruction. Steve McKinsey, her husband, and Julia now live in Greenland, New Hampshire. Steve and Julia have 2 children, Melissa and Stephen, and they are grandparents to Peyton, Zeth, River, Finn, and Nate. All their family members are Paul Harris Fellows. Please help me welcome Julia Phelps. Thanks for being here. Oh, there's lots of water under here. Okay.
Well, I don't think it's fair that I had to follow our morning speaker. I'm just putting that out there for future DGs, all right? That's really hard. Wasn't he wonderful? Yeah. Yes, definitely. So I'm going to share a little bit about my journey as a Rotarian, where it started 25 years ago. Actually, it was really 25 and a half, but we had a very thrifty treasurer. And as I would send in my quarterly dues to the club, he never reported that I was a member until July 1. So I actually started attending in October of 2000 and, no, 2000, too many years, 1996, but my official date is July 1 of 97. So I think about these 25 years, and then I think about Roger Folkenstad. Did I say that correctly? Where is he? Roger? Roger, you want to stop chewing for a minute? I know. Yeah, okay, I'll let you finish that bite. Don't take any more. So he has been a Rotarian for 65 years. He joined when he was 3. Now, I've been a Rotarian 25 years. I can't even imagine what 65 years. So when you joined Rotary, I wasn't, well, that was a really long time ago. I was probably like how old am I? I was like 3 or 4 when you joined Rotary. And there weren't any women. No women. And he's hung around. So I want to say, I hope that someday somebody will say, Julia Phelps, she's been a Rotarian 65 years. Of course, I'll be 150, but but welcome and thank you for your service in all these years. We really appreciate it. And it just goes to show you never know. There he is, right there. You just never know where this journey's going to take you. In May of 1996, Brad Ford came to see my boss, who was the superintendent of schools. And what I didn't know at the time was that Brad Ford came to see Steve Gerber every single year and asked Steve Gerber to join the Rotary Club every single year. And every single year, Steve Gerber would say, I'll ask somebody on the administrative team if they're interested. Now, I was new to the administrative team. I had a lot of things on my plate at that time in my life. But Steve Gerber did a typical agenda for that time of training, that time of committee work. It was just a list, 30 things that we had to cover in 2 hours. And number 17 was the word Rotary. So Steve Gerber presents number 17, and this is a quote, so I don't want to offend anybody, but this is a quote. Steve Gerber said, "Will somebody join that damn Rotary Club so Brad Ford will get off my ass?" Now, I didn't realize that Steve Gerber had asked that same question year after year after year. I was new to the team. I'd been there not quite a year. And everybody in the room looked down and studied their agenda intently. And I looked around the room to see who was going to join the damn Rotary Club. Well, as you can guess, it was me. At that point, my late husband was really ill, and I just knew I couldn't take on another responsibility. I called Brad Ford, and I said, "I can't do it right now. I'll let you know when it's a better time in my personal life." Fast forward, this was May. Fast forward to October, my husband had passed, and so I called Brad, and I said, "I'm not really sure what Rotary is. I'm not really sure what Rotary does, but I think I can start coming to lunch." So he picked me up for about the first month or so. He'd come and honk the horn outside the superintendent's office, and I'd run downstairs and hop in the car, and we'd go to Rotary. Now, at that time on our club, there were about 40-ish members, and 6 of those 40-ish members were women. So I wasn't the only woman in the club, but I was definitely in the minority. And what I discovered during that time period was that these were the people in town that I really needed to know as an assistant superintendent. These were the people that helped make the budgets, who made sure the budgets got passed. If they didn't like what was in the budget, nothing happened. And so I thought, I need to know who these people are. So I joined because I said I would, but also because I wanted my boss to owe me. You know, so Sharon's my aide, and I already made her break a rule yesterday. We went up a one-way street instead of turning around. There were no cars coming. I said, just go. Nobody's here, nobody's looking, so we did. So that tells you, I mean, I do have a tendency to get in trouble. So I wanted to have money in the bank with my boss, and I joined Rotary. Nobody else did. But one of the things I learned really quickly was that was an important place for a leader in the school department to be, because this is how I was greeted most Thursday afternoons. "Julia, is it true," fill in the blank, about any school, any principal, any child, "is it true? Julia, we heard," fill in the blank. "Julia, did you know?" fill in the blank. And what the superintendent and I realized very, very quickly was that it was really important for me to be there because I got all the scoop. And so we started scheduling meetings immediately after Rotary, so I could say, "Steve, did you know?" "Steve, is it true?" And I'm telling you, there were tons of things that we did not know were going on in the community, but because of my involvement in Rotary, I was able to bring back to the school department, and we were able to take care of and resolve before they became huge issues. So, you know, I did that for very, very selfish reasons. I joined Rotary because my boss asked somebody to, and I wanted money in the bank. But what I realized very quickly was that this was a group of people that took care of each other. My husband had died just a few months before, and I didn't live in this community. But the men and women in this club became my family. The men and women in this club helped me heal. The men and women in this club took care of me in ways I didn't even know that I needed to be taken care of. So when we hear Jennifer Jones and Gordon talk about care of club members, I mean, it happened in 25 years ago, and before it was a thing by a Rotary International president. But that's what they're talking about. Do we take care of each other? Do we care about each other? And just really quickly, I'm not going to tell you the whole story now, but when I started dating, they started vetting. And you know, I thought I was getting invited to sit at the table with John Fritz and Brian Butler because they really liked me. But the truth of it is they really didn't like the guy that I'd brought to the last social. And they told me in no uncertain terms not to bring him back, which kind of got my back up a little bit. But so when I met Steve, my husband now, I said, will you come with me to a Rotary event? I said, but before you say yes, you need to know you will be vetted. And if you don't pass muster, you're going to be with the other two guys that are toast. So he obviously passed muster because we got married. But, you know, so you just don't know where these journeys are going to take you. And so, you know, fast forward, I've had a wonderful opportunity to be a district governor in 07, 08 when our theme was Rotary Shares. And that was a great theme that year. And that's, I feel like that's all I do is Rotary Shares. And then I got to do some other really cool things. You know, I was selected to serve on the board of directors, which was an incredible opportunity. And at that time, we had 4 of the 17 board members were women, and that was a big, hairy deal, that there were 4 of us in the room. And then I finished that term in 16, and I thought, oh, you know, this is the big one. I've done it, and now I'm going to get to do some other things. And so part of this journey, my Rotary journey, I thought we were going to end polio like in the next 2 years. And so I really wanted to go on a National Immunization Day before it was done. And so I said to my husband, I don't want a Christmas present. I don't want a birthday present. I don't want an anniversary present, you know, the ABC presents. I don't want any of those. I want to go to India. Is that okay? He was like, go for it, babe. I don't have to spend any money. Go for it. I had lots of miles. So I went to India in January of 2017 to serve on a National Immunization Day. And we did some other things. We visited some projects and we did some sightseeing. But toward the end of the trip was Saturday of the National Immunization Day across the whole country of India. And I was with a group. They divided us up into groups, and we went to this site, this town, and we rotated through helping the workers to give the drops of polio. Now, the Rotarians in India, they do this all the time, and so they really weren't interested in giving out the drops. They wanted us to look at the new office furniture that they had just purchased for their meeting room. They wanted us to see the nice leather chairs they had. So I did a real quick spin through the conference room and said, I really want to be out here and make sure we get all the kids possible. So they send me out to the street. Now, I'm not sure why they thought that was a good idea, but they did. I had on my little yellow vest, and they send me out to the street, and there's a sign behind me in Hindi, you know, that talks about it's the National Immunization Day. Bring your children in, all kids in under 5. And so I gave drops to a little baby that was 3 weeks old. There's a lovely shot of my behind going into a car window, giving these 2 drops. Because the mom was like, I don't want to get out of the car. She's sleeping. It's like, no problem. We can do this. But in the course of standing out there on the road, this gentleman came up to me, an older gentleman, and started talking to me frantically in Hindi. My Hindi isn't very good. My Hindi is non-existent. And so I said to him, 2 drops. You know, I did the drop thing. I pointed to the sign. I did the baby, 2 drops. He was on his bicycle. He hopped back on his bicycle and took off. My shift on the outside of the area, the gate, was over. And I went back in and I said, if the police show up in the next few minutes, it's because I've done something offensive in my sign language with this gentleman. And they were like, okay, we'll look for the police. So about 30 minutes later, however, this gentleman shows back up on his motorcycle with his son and with this granddaughter, maybe 9 months old, 10 months old. And he walks into the area where we're giving the drops, and he hands her. He just gives her to him. Just like that, just hands him. And he goes. I'm like, oh, I think he wants me to give her the drops. So we get the little vial, and I give her the 2 drops. And then I hand back his little girl. We had a little paper visors, for a 9-month-old, 10-month-old, this little plastic ball. We gave her all the little trinkets that we were handing out. And then in my great Hindi, I went, can I take your picture? And he nodded. And I have this picture of this gentleman holding his granddaughter. They hop back on the motorcycle, no helmets, no, the safety issues just boggle my mind. Hop back, he's holding the granddaughter behind his son, hop back out on the motorcycle and take off. So I'm telling this story to my club. And I said, what's amazing about that story is I'm a teacher. I'm just a, public school educator. I'm in a foreign country. I'm pale. I've got red hair. I don't speak their language. This man, who I will never see again, and this little baby, who I will never see again, he handed me his granddaughter and said, 2 drops. You know why he did that? He did that because of Rotary. He did that because of that god-awful yellow vest I had on with the world and the Rotary wheel. He knew he could trust us. We had been there year after year after year. We continue to be there year after year after year. We made a promise, and we're keeping that promise. We are going to eradicate polio. I thought it was, that's for Rotary. Never in a million years did I think that my journey, when I said yes, would take me to India to eradicate polio. But I can truly say, I saved that little girl's life. We, every one of us in this room, saved that little girl's life. That grandfather's not going to have to worry about his granddaughter becoming a crawler or being ostracized because of us. So I think about that as part of my journey, and that's a pretty dramatic part. That was far away. But then I think close to home, where the journey has taken me. And as club president in 2001, 2002, we had a request from the school department. So, of course, that got my ears. And it was from our special needs teachers. And they had found out in the area we had a new program developing for autistic children. And it was a therapeutic writing program. And it was going to cost $800 a child for this 12 weeks of this therapeutic writing program. And they wanted to send 3 students. Now, we didn't have the money budgeted in the Rotary budget. We didn't have the money in the school budget. And I said, of course we'll do this. And then I thought, oh, I should probably ask the Rotary Club. So I went to the next board meeting and said, Kathy and Marie came to me with this great idea, And you probably don't have members like this in Minnesota or Canada or North Dakota or Wisconsin, but we have a member, his name's Curtis. He lives in Kentucky now, so I doubt he'll hear this story. But Curtis did not like the fact that the school department had not budgeted for this, and that the Rotary Club had not budgeted for this, even though we had the money to pay for it. And so I'm embarrassed. Well, I'm not really embarrassed to say this, but I shamed him. I said, so you would keep this from children, Curtis? And so he said, yes, we could do it, but on the condition that the school department budgeted for it next year. I didn't care, I got what I wanted. And so we did the therapeutic writing program. And just out of pure luck, I said to the AV person in our school department, I said, Russ, will you go and videotape each week with these children? And then we'll pull it together and we'll have a club. It'll be our club program. So Curtis can see what. I was nasty. I'm glad Jeremiah's not here to hear that. But so Russ did that. He went every week for 8 weeks or 12 weeks, whatever. I think it was 12. And when he created this, it was like a 7-minute video. What we saw happening with these children is the first week they didn't want anything to do with these horses, with the stables, they wanted nothing to do with what we were wanting out of this therapeutic writing program. But fast forward, and each week you could see that progress was being made, to the point that by week 12, these 3 children, were going into the stable, getting their horse, walking their horse to the point where they would climb up on the riser, putting the saddle on the horse, getting on the horse, and taking that horse around the arena. Making that horse go fast, go slow, stop, go backwards. They were communicating behaviors with this horse. I have to tell you, when we saw that video at Rotary that day, we were pretty smug. Like, look what we did. Look what we paid for. And again, out of pure luck, I had said, why don't we invite the parents of these 3 children to the Rotary Club meeting? And only one could come, and it was a mom. And so she watched the video right along with all of us. And so when it came time, that was our program, when it came time then to do Happy Dollars. I don't know, do you guys do Happy Dollars? Yeah. I know they want us to get rid of that, but we still do Happy Dollars. Harold Weber, who was the tightest banker in our club, he'd pull money out of his wallet and there would be moths coming out of it. Harold Weber did a happy 20. I never seen a $20 bill come out of Harold's wallet ever before. He did a happy 20 that day. And so, we went around the room. I mean, we were just thrilled with what we had been able to see, the growth and the development, the communication with these 3 children and the relationship with these horses. And so I'm about ready to wrap up the meeting, and the mother stands up and said, "May I give a happy dollar?" Now, we're good Rotarians. We take money from anyone. And we said, "Sure, we'll take your happy dollar." We took $1 from her, and she said, "My little girl had never said a word, had never spoken until she got involved in this program." She said 2 weeks ago, she said her first word. She said, "Mommy." She said, "Mommy." This journey has taken me to faraway places, to India, to Australia, to South Korea, to you name it. But it happened right in my own hometown, right in my own backyard. So when Jennifer and Gordon and Stephanie talk about making a difference, when they talk about imagining Rotary, when they talk about creating a world of hope, that's what they're talking about. That mom who can communicate with her child in something very, very simple. The grandfather who doesn't have to worry about the child becoming paralyzed. The water projects, the environmental projects, the maternal health projects that we do around the world. We are imagining a better Rotary. In our own local communities, we are imagining a better, stronger Rotary. Gordon wants us to focus on people's mental health, creating hope. That's what we're doing in the world. So, 25 years ago, when I said yes, and 98 years ago, when Roger said yes, I'm not sure we knew where this journey would take us. But if you say yes to those opportunities, no matter how big, no matter how small, it's amazing where you can go. Like I said, never in a million years did I think that saying yes to the Amesbury Rotary Club would give me the opportunities to do the things that I've done, to be here today with all of you. Who would have imagined 25 years ago? I didn't even know what a president's rep was. I think I was probably a Rotarian for 20 years before I knew what that was. So, but you just don't know unless you open yourself up, unless you make yourself vulnerable, and unless you say yes. So that's my challenge to you in this year that's about ready to end, and this year that's getting started, and the year after, and the year after, is to just think about the possibilities. Imagine the possibilities for what you can create in this world through Rotary. Thank you. Oh, good. I can't get that on the phone.
So I'm going to invite District Governor Quigley to come on up here. And while she comes up here, I just want to thank you for two things specifically. Julia, thank you for being completely authentic and transparent with this group. It was the most enjoyable Rotary International presentation I've listened to in a long time. So thank you for just being you. That felt good. And the second thing is, Julia reminded us that our impact through Rotary can be really big and far away, and it can be really small and close to home or somewhere in the middle. And so you all have the opportunity today to impact our Polio Plus mission by purchasing before you leave the flowers that are in the middle of your table. It's just a free will donation going straight to Polio Plus. At the end of today's session, you leave that donation in the middle of your table. I'll collect it afterwards and we'll make sure that donation gets turned in, but you have the chance to take part in ending polio today. With that, I'll turn it over to Dale.
Yes. So I'm not, we should probably take a show of hands of how many people teared up or cried along with you. Because that was fabulous. Because hearing from your heart about what it's done for you, I think a lot of us in this room have had experiences like that. And that is what brings us back year after year. Thank you so much for coming from New Hampshire. And we hope you come back again.